My name is Kathryn Bennetts. I'm the Artistic Director of the Royal Ballet Flanders in Antwerp, Belgium. I left Australia, I was 20, packed my bags. I think I had $200. Just got on the plane and, I lucked out, I really did. I had a job very quickly, and I think it's harder to get good jobs these days. There's a lot of people looking. But that's how I live my life. If you don't take risks, you're not living, no? You're just existing. I left Australia after 3 years with the Australian Ballet and went to Stuttgart, where I spent most of my dancing days. I was there for 9 years, I think, altogether, and had a serious knee injury. I fell down a flight of stairs at the end of my career, and it was sort of like one day the next it was over. And from there I started teaching. I had luckily done a teacher's course with the ballet master Alexander Uzuliak in Stuttgart. So I started teaching. I went to Italy for 6 months, and then I went to the States and Canada, teaching in the National Ballet School in Canada and the company, the National Ballet Company. I came back. I was guesting every year as a guest teacher. While I was in Canada, I would take about 3 months. In my contract, I could go away and teach. So I was teaching at NDT, I was teaching at Australian Ballet, all over in Spain, but always in Frankfurt with Bill, who I knew from, Bill Forsyth, who I knew from, danced together with him in Stuttgart. And so at one point he asked me, don't you want to come back and be my ballet mistress? And I said, yes, please. So I ended up being there for 15 years. And one day I got a call in my living room 6 years ago. On a Sunday morning, somebody calling and saying, wouldn't you like to be the director of the Royal Ballet Flanders? I was like, sorry, what? Where? I thought, well, why not? I'll come up and have a look. Things were really changing in Frankfurt at that time. It was turning into the Forsyth Company, which I could have been a part of, but it was sort of like a turning point period. So I thought, well, I'll come and have a look. I saw the situation here, the dancers here, and it was really a wonderful place to be able to build something. So that's how I sort of landed here. But I've always been a person to take risks. I think life is about taking risks, and so I just sort of packed my bags and came. Well, first of all, I said I would come if I could completely wipe the repertoire, which is rather radical. I don't think they really realised what that involved. They said yes, and so I got to build my own repertoire from the bottom up, and that's been really the main thing about building up this company, because we got, for example, Impressing Bazaar, which we have the exclusive rights for, that put us on the map internationally, touring around. That was sort of the plan. In the meantime, we have other Forsyth works too, but we have a much bigger repertoire than that. We do the classics, we do Balanchine, we do Robbins, we do Killian, we do a lot of new work. But that sort of put us out there, and it was a wonderful vehicle to show the company and to see how good the dancers are. So with that, we've toured, all over the world: London, Paris, New York, Barcelona, Frankfurt, Moscow, the Bolshoi. We've been everywhere with that piece. And it's been like our calling card. But that was quite a radical thing. And then I am able also here to change dancers. So I've sort of tweaked the company every year. I've taken some new ones. And we have a wonderful group. We have 15 nationalities at the moment, I think. A third of the company is Flemish, which is great. But, I'm able to choose my dancers, and that way it's a lovely thing to be able to do as a director, because you can really get the group you want to work with. The company has made huge strides. They've changed enormously in the past 5 years. The level has gone up. It's so much higher than it was. And it's our team working together, the ballet masters and me, that we all have a common goal, and we're insistent. Every day we push for that. It's not just doing it. There's a reason why we're doing it, what we're working for. And I think when you have that sort of intention that is so clear, it encourages the dancers to also have that intention as a group, so that we're all striving for the best we can possibly be at all times. People need to be told what I think we should be working for. And I think, that's a big issue. I was on the guest teaching circuit for many years, and I saw it, how many companies sort of slob around in class. We really insist on class here being the main thing in the day. It's an hour and a half. You do class every day. I'm old school. You know, I may have been in Frankfurt for 15 years where it was a different atmosphere and not a big classical company, but my background is old school. And in Stuttgart it was like that, and it's what gave the company their focus and their drive to do class together every day. We do split up the class sometimes, but not that much, because I also like it that everyone's together. They feel the group, you know, they feel the energy. At certain times of the year, we split it for certain reasons, if the girls have to work on something for point work. But I always liked myself as a dancer, being in the room with everyone and feeling the company, you know, and having that common goal. I would say get in the real world. You dance the classics better today if you know how to really move in more contemporary stuff. I see it with my dancers. They know how to do Bill's work really well now. We do it a lot. And it improves their dancing in things like Swan Lake, because they dance expansively, they stretch out. There's a way to dance the classic that is very different to, you know, 1890s. So I think there's a way that you can really work that element to improve your dancing generally, to make you a much more aware dancer. I want them to feel inspired. I truly believe if a company has this sort of like 100% we're going to go for it attitude when they perform, giving their utmost, that an audience really feels that. And maybe they don't even know what it is they feel, but there's a certain energy and electricity to a performance that makes them sort of go, wow, this is great. Whether it be Swan Lake or the most contemporary piece, there's still that level of engagement in what they're doing. And that comes over the footlights, you know, and that's a comment we get. And that's why the company has become very popular to tour, because people feel that. It's not like people are just executing a ballet. They are really giving it their all and performing it and trying to make art, actually. I've sort of been able to observe now after over the past 5 years how doing this repertoire that we're doing, pushing them in this direction, in all directions in a sense, people really improve very fast here. It's amazing. I see dancers suddenly looking so good, and I'm like, wow. And it's because that's what's being asked of them also in the choreography. So I also observed in Frankfurt, Bill was really a master at being able to teach people how to dance in his ballets. And there was one boy, I'll never forget, he came in the company and I thought, why the hell did he take this person in class? He looked terrible. But Bill would approach it from a different point of view because he didn't really have this ballet background. He would talk in a different way to him, what he should feel and what he should sense in space. And suddenly this boy in class was doing like 5 pirouettes. He took it from a totally different angle. And that's not really what we do here because we're really very classical in our classes, etc. But having that plus of having a repertoire which is very physical and very demanding physically, giving that to a young person on top of a good classical training, it's amazing how much they can change quickly and expand their dancing and go beyond what they think they can do. Well, you know, I think it's all about your approach in life. I just saw it as an opportunity, you know. I fell down the stairs, I was like 29, 30, and just starting to do a lot in Stuttgart. And some people saw it as a tragedy. But you know, I was a young teacher in demand. So I got suddenly this big guest teaching career that wouldn't have happened otherwise. I sort of got a foot in the door early to be a guest teacher and got to go and do that. And I think it's, you know, one never knows what's going to happen in life. And I think you have to take everything as it comes. And as I'm getting older now, I look back and I see that what I thought was a really bad time in my life has suddenly turned into the good time. Because what I learned out of that happening and what it forced me to have to pick myself up and go in a different direction, thank God. I sort of look back and think, thank God I fell down the stairs. Because I might have been stuck there doing second roles for another 10 years otherwise and feeling frustrated, you know what I mean? Things happen for a reason, and I just literally picked up my bags and went to another country and started teaching and got all this experience and then got on the circuit like people wanted me to come and teach, and it was very exciting. And then I ended up in Frankfurt and staging Bill's works all over the world. That wouldn't have happened otherwise. So I would say to dancers that with an injury, you have to first of all accept it as part of your career. Everybody gets an injury, or most people at some point in their career. And it's how you handle it that makes a difference. You can choose to learn something out of it, and if you get back and you can dance again, then you are a different dancer because you've learned something. Or if you can't dance, there's a big wide world out there. There's many things you can do. Interesting question. I don't think all dancers are born teachers. I think thinking dancers are good teachers, but there's some dancers, we like to think we're all thinking dancers here, but a lot of very good dancers who just have everything naturally, are appalling teachers. So I think if you've had to work things out for yourself and you've had to figure out what works with your body and approach it from that way, you can become naturally a very good teacher. But I think there has to be some sort of thought put into, do I really know what I'm teaching? Because you can't just necessarily stop dancing and start teaching. I was lucky that I had done that fabulous course, and it really helped me, because teaching small children, for example, is a whole different world to what you've been involved in as a professional dancer in your career, So to know what you actually want to say to these kids and anatomically and all that stuff, it's some people can maybe pull that off, but I think if possible you should do some sort of course or review of what, how it should build up for each year, what people should learn and what's good for a certain age. That was a huge advantage that I'd done that. I didn't realize it at the time. I just sort of did it on the side as a dancer in Stuttgart. But once I started teaching, I realized I had that knowledge. It was there. Absolutely. I think I could almost, at this point in my career, I could sit in a room, and if you had like 20 dancers of 20 different nationalities in front of you, I could probably say where they all came from. From a technical point of view, and from a mental point of view, an approach to their dancing. There's definitely that. It sounds racist, but it's true. It's really true, because I worked in so many countries and I saw it all the time. And I think, there's certain attributes in the Americans. You have the get up and go, very on the ball. They're usually long-limbed and sort of an athletic quality, as are Australians, as are South Africans, for example. You have the French that can be much more petite and tiny in their sort of frame, the way they're built. There's a very English way of dancing. It's the schooling perhaps, but I think it's also, we dance from our souls, hopefully, and I think you feel a nationality when somebody really opens up and dances from their soul. You feel their background, inevitably.